I love Africa. It's so difficult to watch Ibrahim, I can't even say his name, Traore, in his speeches and not be absolutely like shaken to the core at the absolute dedication he has to his people. And of course, that's a threat. That's a threat to colonialists. That's a threat to the West. Having anyone who is able to gather people that were ultimately very divided in a very large continent is a threat. If you don't know, Ibrahim has already survived over a dozen assassination attempts. I think it was like 18 or something. And of course, France is threatening him. He has taken upon himself in Burkina Faso to build roads. He's putting in the infrastructure. He's taken it away from private companies to ensure there's no corruption through there. And they are on the ground building roads right now, building the infrastructure that Africa deserves. He has taken control over their own resources. And of course, this is a huge threat because these colonialist nations like France, they profit off of exploiting Africa, and they always have. A continent as rich in resources and culture like Africa, being independent and being free and being able to profit for its people, oh my God, now that's a whole new world.
All Muslims pray for Ibrahim Traore. This man is a Muslim leader who is looking to change the future of Africa. And so far, he's already had over 20 attempts to him. Now, these same people are behind this, and we all know who they are. Now, these same people are behind this because they haven't succeeded with trying to him. They are now paying people and attempting to overthrow him within his own country. This is a guy who's making major changes in Africa right now, and he seems to not be scared of anything but obviously Allah. It also seems that all of the media right now, they're trying to portray him as a bad person and putting out things about him that are just not true. Remember guys, in this dunya, when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're trying to actually make a change, this is what you're going to go through. The shaitan is going to come for you at all forces. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen our brother and grant him the best in this life and in the life after this. And if something happens to him, then we all know why.
I spoke officially for the son of Africa, Muammar Gaddafi. Today, I speak up, albeit not officially, for another son of Africa, Ibrahim Traore. They came for Gaddafi and killed him. They killed Sankara before that, Lumumba. They went after Samora Machel and many others of our revolutionary sons. We must not allow them to come after our son and brother, Ibrahim Traore. He is leading a genuine African revolutionary liberation project. He wants to have control for all Africans over our natural resources. He wants Africans to be united, to have African sovereignty, not just political or military, but African economic sovereignty. They come after him not because of democracy or human rights or stability, but to destroy his liberation project. Exactly what they did with Gaddafi, exactly what they did with Sankara, what they did with Samora Machel, what they did with Nkrumah of Ghana, and many other sons of Africa. Today, we must stand up. We must fight. Come with us to support the revolution in the Sahel region of our continent. Come to say no to imperialist forces of the West that keeps trying to maintain its hegemony and control over our continent. We must stand to...
Good morning, family. I hope you're doing fine where you are. If you ain't doing fine, please do fine where you are. So, back on this topic of Ibrahim Traore and the West. Traore versus the West. Now we have a new party that has since joined us in this fight for Ibrahim Traore. Yeah, remember back then the Arabs and the Arab emirs invited Traore, or rather they offered him an opportunity in disguise. It wasn't really an opportunity. They wanted him to come and they built for them. They built for Traore some mosques. You see, the sheikh and the emirs of Dubai wanted to build many mosques in Burkina Faso. You know, Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim, but Ibrahim Traore said, no, I don't want to have any mosques. I want us to build, I want opportunities, education, schools, employment, because action without faith without action is dead. So it's not that you pray, and you go and sleep hungry. That is something that Ibrahim Traore said. So that very specific statement that Ibrahim Traore responded to, these are the emirs of Dubai, attracted so many of these Arabs. And now Arabs are fighting for Ibrahim Traore. The Arab population in the Middle East are fighting for Ibrahim Traore, and they're supporting him on this, you know. Such an interesting thing to have, such an interesting encounter that we are having with these Arabs, you see. Now I want us to dive into this, listen to what the Arabs got to say. I shall get back with a deeper critical analysis.
Unfortunately, over time, the organization has lost those values. And today the situation is clear. I think that for more than a decade, the sister republics of Mali and Niger have been at war against terrorism. And in Burkina, it's been nearly a decade that we have been at war. This organization, which was supposed to create mutual aid and solidarity, we have never received any help from this organization. No soldiers, no logistics, no compassion.
Mr. President, we feel like saying we understand that lately the relations have been particularly difficult. That with what has happened, the coup d'etat that have occurred in these different states you just mentioned, Mali, Niger, and Burkina, you might want to leave. And people are saying, isn't this a reaction to the fact that they don't accept that you allowed coup d'etat, that you are leaving and saying to yourself, well, since they don't accept it, we're leaving?
Coup d'etat are not done because we want them. It's this way of seeing things that needs to change. You agree with me that having these states in crisis to carry out a coup d'etat and take responsibility is very burdensome. But if we do it, it's because we have a desire to lead our people towards a certain sovereignty, because we know the origin of this crisis. And I think we should be supported. People are proud to cite that there are so many millions of displaced people in those regions. But what are you doing to help them? Nothing.
Do you feel that the military is more likely to solve these problems than politicians, civilians? Is that your feeling?
Anyone could do it.
But how do you explain that it's the military who are taking charge and saying we don't want civilians anymore?
No, the military didn't say we don't want civilians anymore. It's out of a sense of patriotism. When the nation is in peril, at some point, important decisions must be made. If it happens that it was the military who had the courage to make this decision, well, that's how it is. In any case, whether civilians or military, we are all children of this country. And anyone who is driven by this feeling of being able to liberate their country could do it. So, it's not a question of being military. Elsewhere, the military has succeeded. And here too, the military can indeed succeed.
So, Mr. President, what do you say to the ECOWAS leaders who say they are leaving because we said we don't want coup leaders among us?
There are many coup leaders among them. So it's not a question of coup leaders, it's just a facade.
When you say coup leaders, do you mean civilian coup leaders?
There are military coup leaders within ECOWAS who today claim to be Democrats. And there are civilians too. There are worse than coup leaders. There are those who kill, who silence their people in silence. ECOWAS turns a blind eye, a deaf ear. There are plenty of coup leaders within ECOWAS.
So Mr. President says, okay, we are leaving ECOWAS with immediate effect. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. We are leaving with immediate effect. Mr. President, this concerns a lot of people. What about the movement of people, your populations who are in an ECOWAS country, that you are leaving overnight? How is this going to happen exactly? Because the texts say it takes at least a year to implement all this. But here, you are saying, no, it's over now. It's over now?
Yes. First, you say the texts say, but they themselves have never respected their texts. It depends on who you are dealing with. That's what we have noticed. The sanctions imposed on Niger, they don't exist anywhere in the texts. So the first ones to violate these texts are these so-called Democrats. We are leaving, but we remain Pan-African. Anyone in Africa, an African who wants to come to Burkina, is welcome in their home, in principle.
But in the opposite direction, it's going to be complicated. Someone who is within the AES, we will talk about the AES in a moment. Someone who is within the AES, we can tell them they can no longer go to Burkina, they can no longer go to Côte d'Ivoire, they can no longer go to Ghana. It becomes a bit more complicated for those who do their business there.
We will see, and we will know what measures to take at an appropriate time.
Is this departure from ECOWAS well thought out, Mr. President?
Of course, very well thought out.
It's not a whim. It's not out of anger.
If it were out of anger, we would have done it a long time ago. I think we took the time to analyze the situation, to weigh many things, and finally, to decide. So, if it were a whim from the very first moments of certain sanctions, the people have been quite resilient, it must be said. They have suffered. So, during that time, we could have decided in anger. Now, we have taken the time to observe, to analyze the situation, and to convince ourselves of our strengths before deciding.
And you took everyone by surprise. Another element in this, let's say, this new way of shaping West Africa, the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. Mr. President, is the AES viable? On paper, it's very, very appealing, but is it viable?
You know very well that it is more than viable. You know, for a long time, our people have been kept in a certain philosophy, always making us believe that we can't do anything without others. Today, our mission is to awaken consciousness. You are doing it very well, by the way.
Yes.
I appreciate it a lot. We need to awaken consciousness for the youth to realize what they have at home. An organization like this, you first need to realize its strengths, weigh its weaknesses, and after this analysis, you decide. The AES is very viable. Whether in terms of
the economies, Mr. President, if I may, these are economies that are very integrated. You produce the same thing, you do exactly the same thing. Who will sell to whom? How is it going to trade? And what do we do about the fact that these are not countries with at least an opening to the sea?
Numbers are one thing.
Now I'm coming back and looking at it. I'm just so much excited to see that we are not alone in this fight. Black people have always fought along with the Arabs, with the Palestinians, for instance. We saw South Africa went over there and reported their accusatory country to the ICC. How far is South Africa from Palestine? Very, very far, yeah? So, if you look at that, it tells you that we are a human community. A brother is not someone with whom you share a skin color. A brother is someone with whom you share values. That is the true brother, you know? A brother is someone you share love. A brother is someone who comes through for you when you are in trouble, right? So all this enmity that might have been placed by the West is something which is no more, because the Arabs have shown us in particular that we belong to each and everyone, and we are each and everyone's brother's keeper. And when Langley thinks that he is going to attack Traore, he's not only attacking Traore, he's attacking humanity, yeah? Because it's been shown. So he'll not only have to fight Traore, he will have to fight the whole humanity. And I'm so much blessed to see that Ibrahim Traore in himself, he's also courageous, he's powerful, he's not showing any fear, because sometimes fear is what sells you out, you know. If you show that you are brave in terms of adversities, in times of difficulties, you show strength. And that is what Ibrahim Traore is saying. But now we as brothers and sisters, we should appreciate the Arabs. Now, we all belong to one country and we all belong to one another. Different colors, one people. as it was said by the musician from South Africa. I think his name was Lucky Dube. He said, different colors, one people. When we try and look at it like that, what we see is a whole humanity race, but not racism. Yeah, this situation cuts across all boundaries, it cuts across races. It's a situation touching on all humanity. That is my message. I hope if you find value, kindly subscribe.